Okay. So we're live. I wanted to come back on. I've been posting a lot lately, but I haven't been doing a lot of videos, and it's because extremely busy with work. And there's a lot of other creators that are doing really well, and I like to watch them. I watch everybody. I try to stay up to date what's going on. You don't really want to get caught with your pants down like we all were back in March of 2020. But it seems like every time we discover something's about to happen, things change. And I think it's because if certain agendas or certain things happen, but somebody predicts it ahead of time, like what Alex Jones does, then the public will literally trust that person that had foresight more than they're going to trust the television, more than they're going to trust elected officials who apparently are just in the dark about everything. The reason I love Alex Jones is because people like him and David Icke, who, matter of fact, Alex Jones introduced me to David Icke, they had answers when everyone had questions and had no idea what was going on. I remember March of 2020. It was David Icke that told us that there was no such thing as the thing they said was floating around. They don't know if it's airborne or not. And everybody seems to be afraid of it. And everyone thinks they have it. And I'm like, well, how the fuck do you know you have it? Like when you shit, does glitter come out? Like, what is so distinctively different about this than a cold or the flu or whatever? And no one had answers. No one can even tell us anything about that PCR test that Dr. Carrie Mullis invented. But Carrie Mullis told us a lot about it if you watch those videos. But they don't want you to listen to someone like Alex Jones or David Icke or even myself who's going to tell you these names and tell you to go read. They want you to just take their word for it. That's why independent journalism is growing and legacy media is dying. It's actually dead. The last people that are watching it are people in airport terminals where they play CNN. I don't know who watches Fox anymore. I mean, now that Tucker's gone, I mean, they're gone. But the difference is who can transfer and give you information in real time. It's very limited. People used to think you would immediately something happens in the world, boom, you go to the news stations and it's up to date coverage. You got fucking Wolf Blitzer and yada yada yada. And then now that you know that they're all full of shit and they lie, you look for someone like myself or Tim Cass or even Lou Valentino, who's great, literally with up-to-date information. And what we do is what I'm doing right now. For example, if you follow my Instagram, Club Rico Podcast, which I've literally had this page deleted and brought back like 4 times in the past month, I share these topics and then I want to go over them and give context because they disable my ability to write captions on these posts every week, or every other day. So now I have to like explain to people what I mean. But one big thing that was I had like 10, and I have a small Instagram channel. They deleted my other page. I'm still growing it, and it's so difficult for you to follow me because if you try to follow me, they give you some kind of like warning about. That's how I know I'm over the target. So it's really hard to follow me. You can't just click and then boom, boom, boom. No, you actually have to like click a disclaimer that you understand that I'm this type of person or whatever. But let's go back to breaking news that was yesterday. That was amazing to me. This lady who is obviously impaired and has issues. And this video went viral on my. I mean, this video had tens of thousands of views on my page. And like I said, I have a small page. But let's go ahead and listen. Okay.
Brown and Radish. But the word rape carries so many sexual connotations. This was not sexual.
So this is the woman. Now, in court, they were not allowed to play this CNN interview. Why? What about transparency? What about full information? They know New York is a Democrat stronghold. And even though the whole city is falling apart, the country is being destroyed, the economy is destroyed, there are certain people who still hate Trump because of what he stands for. but more so, it's about what they personally stand for. You know, Trump represented law and order. Don't you remember the country 4 years ago when people used to get arrested for certain crimes and there was no, now people are openly telling you they're sexualizing your kids in school. They're openly telling you they're confusing them about gender and influencing them to become gay. They're openly telling you that they will give your children different clothes to wear at school and that you should keep secrets from your parents. All these are things that normally people will be arrested for. You're a groomer, you're a molester, yeah. All these things, everything right now that is current administration for the past few years, all law and order is out the window. Anything goes. So there are certain people who have these proclivities for children who want the status quo, how things are now, to continue. They see Trump as a direct threat to that. The last thing that certain types of people want is accountability. They don't want anyone to know what they're into, what they're doing, and they feel safe now to come out and say, hey, I'm an adult attracted to minors. And there are other adults in their community and they're finding each other. That's what those flags are for. That rainbow flag, that upside down rainbow, it's not a flag that says, hey, I want to have pride in who I have sex with, because that's not something that no one cares about. Like, that's not something you need pride in. What typically some of these people want to have pride in is they want to feel better about something that they were typically ashamed of about themselves. A lot of these people were in the closet about being into children. So they seek validation from other people, and it's like they're finding other pedos that they can connect with and feel better about what they're doing, who they are. And it's a part of a growing coalition. And that's what's crazy to me is that, you know, you have different communities in this country that are now all being merged together to target white conservative Americans. It's a war. But if you break it down, it's mainly just straight white people, and then you have gay white people on the other end. Gay white people are typically smaller physically and weaker, but they have to become more clever. So to fight their political straight white enemies, the strong men, they've literally recruited every group that feels it's marginalized in the country. So you have the black community, you have the LGBTQ elemental, whatever the fuck, all those different people. Now they're bringing over the Palestinian crowd who are anti-LG whatever, but that's how desperate they are for this coming civil war. They'll recruit anything. You know, the black community is very disappointed with the immigrant community because the immigrant community is not going to join them in their fake war against white Americans and white supremacy or whatever you want to call it. They're conservatives as well. They believe in family. They believe in men, women, and children. They're not really into all that pedophile perv stuff. So now you see a lot of black people now are rejecting the immigrant community and very upset that they're here and go back home. But wait a minute, go back home. I remember like 2-3 years ago, it was literally the black community championing why illegals should come here and no one's illegal on stolen land and yada, yada, yada. Because in their mind, they're at war with white people who don't even know they exist. But in their brains, in their world of delusion, there's a white man with his foot on your neck and on your mouth at all times and kicking you in your ass up and down the street, standing in front of your house, telling you can't do this, can't. It's all delusion. Similar to the delusion that the trans or all the other people share, where a man can give birth and, oh, I'm having period cramps. Bro, you're a dude. You're not having any period cramps. You don't have a period. You can't give birth. What are we talking about here? But these delusions are actually, unfortunately, are becoming mainstream. And people who share them are now finding each other and they're joining this pretty much coalition. When you put these people on a jury, and Trump is the antithesis, he's literally the opposite of what they stand for. They see him as the strong man, the strong, straight white man. He's the enemy. So look, let's look at this interview.
It hurt. It just
But I think most people think of rape it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
Sexual rape.
Think of the fantasies.
Think of the
I was
fantasies.
not thrown on the ground and ravished. Which the word rape carries so many sexual.
So you weren't thrown on the ground and ravished. Then what happened to you? And no one wants to talk about that. She doesn't want to say, and it's because what she said was, like Martin Luther King, she had a dream. Now, from what I've read, they never met each other in person, but she felt like she had a dream that he did something to her many, many years ago. Trump said that that's a lie. He never met her. So this right here was not she didn't win a judgment that he actually touched her or did something to her. They gave her a judgment saying that he defamed her by saying that her allegations against him were not true. See, it's all fun and games until it's you on the other side. Yeah, it's fun and games now because it's Trump. But what about when it's your brother or your uncle? Or someone makes up a story about your father, and with no evidence, no proof, he's literally, your family's sued, or, he might be arrested. Who knows? Will it still be funny then? The importance of independent journalism is that we can connect these dots for you in real time, and we show you the proof. We can do it instantly. Anything that comes on television, we can immediately come to the internet and we can make videos and go over them in detail and explain it in real time. I'll give you another example. Another video that you will not see on television about this exact same case. Look.
It's because some very distinguished.
This is this woman.
Live here. Kahneman lives in the kitchen. Taberski lives in the bedroom. This is my shed. And on that side are the books that most influenced me growing up. On the door are the list of my dogs: Marky, Fortuna de la Spunky, Heidi, Tits, Bloody, and Hepburn.
Bloody and Hepburn. Not saying let's focus on her dog's names. Anybody can name their dog whatever they want to. We show you this video to show you the mental status of the person who they literally put in front of a camera as the accuser. This is the best they could do. The reason that legacy media is falling apart is because they want journalists to do journalism. They want you to tear stories apart. They want you to get to the facts and to the details. They're not going to do it on TV, so they leave it to us to come online. I have literally zero idea what I'm doing. I don't really know how to do these videos on StreamYard. I don't even know if this stuff is live. I don't even know if it's working. I'm just making a video, hoping somebody will see it, because, these are things we should talk about. I'm sure there are comments. I don't even know how to see the comments on here right now, but look at this. Let's keep going.
The streams and the rivers were dry, and it so horrified me that I came out and started painting the rocks blue to indicate that there was once a river here. And then after I got done painting the rocks, I just sort of walked over here and then did that tree and then did that tree and then I did this tree. And
so this woman, she takes it upon herself to just go out and paint rocks and trees. Now, who knows where her money comes from, how she can afford to live such a leisurely lifestyle, but she just won a judgment for $83 million. Somebody somewhere bankrolled her lawyer fees in her case, knowing that this is nonsense. And absolutely, Margaritas Kosia, he must appeal this absurdity. The thing is, he will appeal this. It will be turned over on appeal because it's nonsense. But for the next X amount of days, this is going to capture headlines. Or will it? When you have someone like myself or other independent small channels that are tearing this narrative apart, and say we only have a reach of per independent journalist, X amount of thousands of people. They share your video, they share your video. Next thing you know, everyone's getting this other perspective. They're seeing who this person really is. And really, the headlines aren't really grabbed. It used to be grabbed for 2 weeks. Now you're grabbing headlines for 2 days. That literally limits the effectiveness of legacy media pushing their bullshit and their propaganda. We don't like being propagandized. They had laws against it until your boy Obama and Big Mike removed those safeguards that protected American citizens from being propagandized by our own media agencies and our own CIA. Those were removed. So now, and even when that happened, that should have alerted other Americans that there will now be attacks against us from those who we hire to protect us. So those are gone. So let's continue with this video.
Then pretty soon I've done this whole forest. It's because some very distinguished mice live here.
Some very distinguished mice. Now, I love animals myself, but I haven't referred to a mouse as being very distinguished, you know? So, yeah. So independent journalists are making it very hard to spread propaganda. And that was one thing that the think tanks did not factor in when they were doing their calculations on how fast and how effective they would be able to basically break down the United States from within. You know, in the book, The Art of War, it's about how you win battles without firing a single shot. These people who we're fighting against, right? They don't have the strength. And remember, they're anti-weapon, so they don't have the guns. So what they have to do is they have to shame you into submission, calling you a bad person, calling you a racist, calling you a Nazi, calling you. But those words, because they've abused them and used them so much, they literally mean nothing anymore. So the effectiveness that it's having on the masses is limited. But there is a divide. You know, so what I do is I usually share stuff on my Instagram, and then we go through it and talk about it. And just, you know, so what did I share here? Oh, so look, SDNY Judge Lewis Kaplan, who infamously dismissed Prince Andrew's sexual assault claim made by one of the Jeffrey Epstein victims, that's the exact same judge, magically, the exact same judge that presided over this case with Trump versus Carroll in the defamation case. Now are you starting to see what I'm saying? These are all people who are gay or LGBTQ, people who are also attracted to children. These people are at war with strong men who are the reason they were in the closet in the first place. But now that there are very little strong men, and because they have the full weight of the United States government law enforcement behind them, helping them, they can do things like target kids. They can do things like human smuggling and child smuggling. They can do those things under this administration. And if Biden continues and wins, or another Democrat comes in the party, they'll get stronger and they can keep going. Even at the World Economic Forum, they all admitted one thing. A conservative president or a Republican president, whether it's Trump or whoever, would literally be kryptonite. It could literally stop all of their plans. You know, right now, Klaus Schwab and Yuval Noah Harari, they're literally reprogramming the world into their image. You know, when I talk about the World Economic Forum and the Davos men, people never bring up the fact that these are all gay men. Klaus Schwab is a gay man. Noel Harari is a gay man. He's married to a man. They cross-dress. Don't you see the pattern here? There's literally the people who are at the top. Even Bill Gates takes his orders from Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, and Harari. Even Bill Gates is under them. Fauci is under them. Our president is now under them. What does Schwab say? He named off these Western countries, and he said the World Economic Forum has penetrated the cabinets of all these. That means that your Congress, your Senate, your parliament, wherever you are in the West, only in the Western world, because the BRICS nations are not playing this. Oh, yeah, boys can be girls, girls can be boys. Let's sterilize and kill off our populations and replace them with these people. And the BRICS nations are not doing that. It's the Western world. It's not the whole world. It's English-speaking countries, except for the exception of France and Germany, that were formerly under the monarch. New Zealand, Australia, the UK, Canada, United States, Scotland, Ireland. How are only these Western nations all now facing conflicts daily with tons of immigration from the global South? But really what they're doing is they're bringing a lot of people from different parts of Africa into Europe, into Italy, and through Mexico into the United States. These are groups that have not acclimated very well, or like look at Sweden with the no-go zones. These are groups who they know culturally will not mix. They're doing this on purpose. But obviously it's not for world takeover, because this is only working in NATO countries, Western countries. It's not working in BRICS nations. Matter of fact, China doesn't do immigration at all. People don't cross the border and immigrate into China. They don't do that. But they do it here. But we don't really do that either. It's just that the people who are in charge now have been compromised by the World Economic Forum. We are directly at war with the World Economic Forum. Klaus Schwab is number 2. And they've literally talked about how human rights are a thing of the past, bodily sovereignty, and they have all these other weird talking points, but it's a lot of stuff they say is bullshit and it's lies. But the one thing that is true is that they're finding roundabout ways to get you to make sure you never have children and to eventually kill you yourself. That's the goal, is to reduce the population. You are the carbon that they want to remove. You know, it's funny, the people that talk about this, they never volunteer themselves and their own family as tribute to lower the carbon emissions by unaliving themselves. It's you that they're talking about, not everyone else. And so think about it. What kind of background? This is a judge who defended Epstein. What do you think he's into? Say I'm wrong. Okay, let me give you another example. This is Yuval Noah Harari. He's Israeli, and he's the number 2 in the World Economic Forum. Again, Bill Gates, Fauci, the rest of them, our president, the Biden regime, etc. They all take orders from the World Economic Forum. They gasp in awe when Klaus Schwab speaks. Why? Why? Even the Vatican, they're above the Vatican. So let's go.
But human rights are just like heaven and like God. It's just a fictional story that we've invented and spread.
He wants you to think that God is a figment of your imagination. So if God doesn't exist, then neither do your human rights. So basically, you have to be an atheist to agree with him and to just understand why you should be subjugated under him. When they say you will own nothing and you will be happy, it's because they, him, and his counterparts will own everything. You will own nothing, but they will.
But around, it may be a very nice story. It may be a very attractive story. We want to believe it, but it's just a story. It's not a reality. It is
a reality.
Biological reality.
Yes, it
Just
is.
as jellyfish and woodpeckers and ostriches have no rights, Homo sapiens have no rights also. Take a human, cut him open, look inside. You find their blood, and you find the heart and lungs and kidneys, but you don't find there any rights.
Yeah, we do have rights, and our rights come from God. But remember, this is a man who doesn't believe in God. So he's not going to believe in your rights. But what he does believe in is this AR that will be shoved up his ass if he tries to come to America and say any of this to an actual patriot. That he does believe in. That's why these TED Talks are going to happen in Europe. They're going to happen in other parts of the world where he's surrounded by socialists or people who are just living in fear because they have no guns, they have no strength. They don't have a large population of big, strong men who are also weak mentally that could actually physically defend themselves. This man might not have any rights or powers because he is gay and he is small. He cannot enforce anything he says onto you. He can't even defend what he's saying personally. Worse, if I busted in there right now and got in his fucking face, he would literally have to get on the phone and say he has a right to talk like this, and he would call another straight, strong man, typically he would call another strong white man, to come and defend him against me because he does not physically have the ability to do so. I'm 6'2", 260. What are you going to do, Yuval Harari? What are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. These guns you wanted to get rid of is the only thing that would literally be able to help you. There's nothing. That's why they don't want you to have certain things. They need to be able to manipulate you mentally. Again, he's telling you that because there's no God, the rights that you have that come from God do not exist. But if you believe in God, then you know you have rights. So when you meet a lot of people that, you know, that live in the United States under the Constitution who say they hate the Constitution, they don't believe in it, and we shouldn't have guns and freedom of speech, these different groups that I keep naming that do not like this country, don't respect it, the reason why they're not going to be formidable opponents is because that Second Amendment that they don't believe in will be the only way they will be able to fight us, but they don't believe in it. So they're contradicting themselves. So they put themselves at a disadvantage. However, they do have the numbers because they keep merging more and more groups. And now the children of these strong, straight white men, they manipulate their own children and turn against them. So daily, our numbers are technically shrinking. And it's because they're using reverse psychology in the media to to grow their base and to create this, I call it the Black Army, BLAQ Army. And it is growing. However, people like myself on independent journalists, independent media, when we can counter narratives in real time, it makes you think. And they don't want you to think. They need you to be a mindless drone. That's why if someone who looks like me starts talking, the first thing people jump in and want to talk about is, well, because of how you look, you should do what I tell you to do. You should think like I think. Matter of fact, you should believe what I believe. You should be exactly like me. You shouldn't be an individual. You should join my cult. Unfortunately, I have news for you. Fuck you and your cult. I'm not a part of it. And when I say my people, I mean people I share values with, not people who we fucking look similar. You know how many people around the world look like me? Like people in India are darker than me. People, not people in Africa. I'm from an island. Island people are darker than me. When I say my people, I mean people who I share the same values and morals and the same beliefs with, not appearance, not something superficial. That doesn't mean shit. And they don't, and right now, independent journalists are breaking down their cults. And they're losing people because independent journalists just will talk to you directly. We will speak to you in the comments. We'll ask you to ask questions, and trying to disprove us and trying to prove us wrong, you literally become one of us because you can't. You think I was always like this? I remember once upon a time, I used to live in California. And I'll say all this weird, idiotic stuff about Trump, a man who I had never even heard speak once. I didn't even watch The Apprentice. But me trying to prove somebody wrong on a thread one day, I started wanting to go watch some of these videos. I was going to take out some stuff that he said and go throw it back in their face. I watched one of his videos from a rally. I'm like, wait a minute. I literally agree with like 99% of everything this man said. Maybe 100%. Is this why they don't want me to listen to him? I remember people just say stuff about Tucker Carlson. After I started watching Tucker, I'm like, oh yeah, so this is why they don't want me to listen to him, because I would agree with them. And you would too. And now our echo chambers are becoming so loud that, because think about it, if you're, only speaking to your own audience or people that already think like you're not growing, because we already know what's going on. It's these other people that we're trying to give information to so they can actually make informed, logical decisions and break down this thing where everything they think about is emotional and all their politics or identity. Oh, look, that person, I think they're black. Let me vote. What the fuck good has that done? And then what, 50, 60 years of identity politics? What good has it done? All cities ran by black people destroyed. They just elected Karen Bass in Los Angeles. What is it, 260 or 67 million for homeless people? So far, 200 homeless people have been housed. And who even knows how long they're housed for? And then how is that even a solution? So you're going to give some people free housing, but I'm expected to pay for housing. Get the fuck out of here. How does that even make sense? How's that even fair? It's not. That's why nothing works under socialism. That's why communism doesn't work unless you reduce the population. So, and then it's not even that it works. It's just that people are just so afraid. And some of us are just workers. We like to work. We're not going to just sit around and do nothing anyway. We're not useless eaters like the World Economic Forum would refer to us. But some of us are. They don't want to do anything. So I guess there are some things with the World Economic Forum that I do agree with. I mean, I know what I read, right? And you don't have to be a fucking rocket scientist or a genius. And rocket scientists aren't even that smart if you think about it, because they make rockets that go nowhere, they explode. And a lot of that is junk science anyway. So maybe I shouldn't use that example as being a rocket science. But you don't have to be the sharpest tool in the shed to realize that the injections they were giving people were for a reason. And I guess I do in a way support giving it to certain people. And people say, well, Rico, well, why? And I'm like, because I know what they do. And if you did not take the time out to read what you were going to give your kids and your mother and your grandmother, and before you did it, then do you really deserve life and liberty? Now, if Harari came with an argument like that, saying certain people are undeserving because they choose ignorance over knowledge and information, if that's what they're doing, now that makes a little bit more sense to me. You got to think about it. Anybody I know that still claims they're a Democrat is a part of a cult. They don't think, because you're not allowed to question the Democrat agenda because you wouldn't go along with it. So when I see those people in these cults and I'm looking at it like, okay, I'm from Los Angeles. They say it's they say, well, we're a red state with blue cities. I'm from a city. So many of my friends, family that were considered themselves Democrats, they weren't conservative enough to say no. They're dead. They're gone. Or they're super sick right now. And who knows how long they're going to be around. And everyone's just, they're so shocked and surprised. I'm not. I literally left California because I started getting invited to too many funerals. And I've told everyone that. I started getting all these funeral invites for people in their 20s and 30s who were just playing basketball or, going for a run. All of a sudden, your heart goes out. I'm like, well, I know what happened. Why is everybody else so surprised? If you're not willing to fight for freedom, if you're not willing to say no to actual subjugation, then do you deserve life and liberty? Like, okay, so do you expect me to go risk my life on the front lines to protect you or to defend you? Who the fuck are you? What are you doing? What have you done? You just get to sit back and let us do all the hard work? No. Not this time. Like I said, that movie Civil War is coming out. They told the guy, that was in the military, they said, hey, let's calm down. We're all Americans here. And he asked the best question that I think anybody in times like this could ever ask. He asked, what kind of American are you? And that's what it's going to come down to. So let me end this live here before it gets too long. And then I'll try to come back after I go get some chicken shawarma. I need lunch.